All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep into the world of D&D, specifically 5th edition character classes.
Awesome.
You know, you sent us this amazing collection of info from D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to cut through all the rules, the complexities, and really get to what it means to be a barbarian, a bard, a cleric, you name it. All 12 of those core classes.
Yeah, like a crash course to the heart of these classic fantasy archetypes.
Exactly. You sent us the blueprints, like we're looking at the DNA of an adventurer, from the wildest warrior to the most powerful spellcaster. And speaking of, the range here is amazing. We're talking barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard.
It's a pretty wide spectrum, right?
It is. Just from those names, you get a sense of fierce fighters, charismatic performers, healers touched by the divine.
But it's more than just, what they do. That's what's so cool about D&D. The class isn't just a job. It's woven into who they are.
Oh, interesting.
It's like a calling, Shapes how they see the world, how they talk to people, even where their powers come from.
Okay, so give me an example. How does being let's say a fighter, how does that change their whole outlook?
Well, think about it. Their training, whether it's in a strict army or just years of hard knocks, it makes them practical.
Right.
Tactics, strategy. They might even see themselves as part of a bigger fighting force. Their friends are probably going to be other, tough martial types.
Makes sense. Very grounded. Now, how would that compare to, say, a cleric?
Oh, totally different. A cleric sees everything through their faith. Like every event is their god's will or a part of some cosmic battle between good and evil.
Oh, wow.
Their allies are probably going to be from their church, fellow worshipers.
Yeah.
It shows how much their class is like the foundation of their identity.
Yeah. And it's interesting that these 12 classes, you find them in almost every D&D world.
Right.
Like they're these fundamental building blocks of fantasy.
It's like they represent this core set of skills and powers and ways of seeing the world. You put them together in a party and boom, you can tackle any problem.
I love it. So where do we start with all these amazing callings?
Let's start with the Barbarian, shall we?
Okay, Barbarian, classic.
Yeah. The core here is that fierce warrior, right? Usually from a more primitive background.
Yeah.
They can tap into this incredible rage.
This isn't just getting angry, right? It's something more.
Oh, way more. It's like a switch flips. They unleash this primal power, gives them crazy reflexes, makes them super tough, just raw strength.
So strategically, how does rage work?
Well, it's a temporary boost, a huge one, but temporary. But it costs you an action to activate, and you can't cast spells while raging. So a barbarian player has to really think about when to use it.
Yeah.
The book describes it as like the fury of a cornered animal or a force of nature,
Right.
For some, it's a spiritual thing, connecting with animal spirits. For others, it's anger at the world, at injustice. It's very instinctual.
Yeah, and how does that instinctual nature clash with civilization?
Oh, constantly. Cities think they're so great for being all, removed from nature. To a barbarian, that's weakness. They embrace the wildness.
Interesting. So they're happiest out in the wilds.
Absolutely. Tundra, jungle, grasslands, that's their home. Walls and crowds just feel wrong to them.
Yeah, but how does someone like that fit into an adventuring party?
You'd be surprised. They actually fit in pretty well. See, the barbarian has this inherent courage. Plus, many barbarian cultures are nomadic.
Oh, okay.
So the traveling life of an adventurer, it's not a big deal to them. They might miss their tribe, their family, but they form that same bond with their adventuring party.
A new tribe, forged in adventure. I like that. So mechanically, what makes a barbarian tick?
Well, they roll a d12 for their hit points.
Oh, wow. The biggest die.
The biggest, yeah. Meaning they're the toughest. And their main ability is strength. They're good at resisting physical stuff and just enduring hardship.
Right. Very resilient.
You bet. They get those saving throw proficiencies in strength and constitution. When it comes to gear, it's light and medium armor, shields, all kinds of weapons. Simple, martial, you name it.
Okay, so what about rage? How does that work in the game?
They can enter a rage as a bonus action. So that's a quick action they can do along with their main action, which is super helpful in a fight.
Right.
While raging, they get advantage on strength checks and saving throws.
Advantage meaning?
Meaning they roll twice and take the higher number, so they're more likely to win those arm wrestling contests or resist being knocked down. They also get advantage on dexterity saving throws, but only against stuff they can see coming.
Okay, so like dodging a trap or a spell.
Exactly. And of course, they get a bonus to their melee damage. However, while raging, they can't cast spells or concentrate on spells that are already active.
Oh, interesting trade-off.
It is. The rage lasts for a minute unless they get knocked unconscious or choose to end it early. And the number of times they can rage, that starts limited but goes up as they level up.
Okay, so it's a resource they got to manage.
Yeah. Now, at 3rd level, they choose a primal path.
A path. What's that?
It's like a specialization. It defines their rage further. Like, the book mentions the path of the berserker or the path of the totem warrior.
Oh, okay. Let's talk berserker. What makes them unique?
The big thing is their frenzy. When they rage, they can enter a frenzy and make a melee attack as a bonus action on each of their turns. So they're just attacking like crazy.
This is powerful.
It is, but there's a catch. When the rage ends, they get a level of exhaustion.
Oh, that could be bad, right?
Oh yeah, exhaustion is nasty in D&D. It messes with your rolls, your movement, everything. So frenzy is this like high risk, high reward thing. Very berserker, you know?
Yeah, pushing themselves to the limit.
Exactly. The other path, the totem warrior, that one's all about tapping into animal spirits.
Right, becoming the bear, the wolf, and so on.
Right, but the book doesn't go into detail on that one.
Okay, fair enough. So apart from the path, what else does a barbarian get as they level up?
Well, they get ability score improvements, so they get even stronger and tougher. Extra attack at 5th level, meaning they get to attack twice instead of just once on their turn. Essential for any fighter. And they get fast movement, also at 5th level. They move faster when they're not wearing heavy armor. Makes them more mobile.
Yeah, because they wouldn't want to slow down.
Not at all. At 7th level, they get feral instinct. They get advantage on initiative rolls, so they're more likely to act first in a fight.
Okay.
Plus, if they get surprised, they can still act normally on their first turn as long as they rage. So it's really good for turning the tables on enemies.
Yeah, ambushes become much less scary.
Exactly. Then there's brutal critical at 9th level. It adds extra damage dice when they score a critical hit, so those lucky rolls are even more devastating.
Oh, wow.
Really emphasizes their raw strength, you know? Relentless Rage at 11th level gives them a chance to stay up even when they hit 0 hit points, if they're still raging.
Oh, that's clutch.
It is. Then at 15th level, they get Persistent Rage. Makes it really hard for their rage to end early. At 18th level, Indomitable Might lets them use their strength score instead of rolling if it's higher.
So basically, they're just incredibly strong.
Oh, yeah. And finally, at 20th level, Primal Champion. They get a +4 bonus to their strength and constitution maximums.
That's huge. So they're pushing past even normal human limits at that point.
Absolutely. They're a force of nature. Okay, let's switch gears completely. How about the Bard?
The Bard. Charisma and music.
Exactly. They're all about weaving magic through their words and music. And it's not just sound, you know, it's like they're tapping into this primal energy, echoes of the words of creation, literally shaping the world with their songs.
Whoa, that's powerful. So they're channeling these ancient echoes.
In a way, yeah. And unlike the Barbarian, who's all about that rage, the Bard is all about versatility.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They can inspire their friends, make their enemies lose their nerve, mess with minds, create illusions, even heal. They usually hang back and support, but they can fight in melee if they need to.
Right, right. So what kind of spells do they focus on?
They lean towards charming, illusions, that kind of thing. Less about raw power, more about subtlety and influence.
Gotcha. Very tricky. And stories seem really important to bards.
Oh, totally. They live for stories. Real or made up, doesn't matter. The book says their background is less important than the tales they tell.
Interesting. So how do they get their magical music?
All sorts of ways. They could have gone to a bard college, had a mentor, maybe even had a weird encounter with some fey creature. It's open-ended.
I like that. Lots of options for a backstory.
Yeah. Mechanically, they use a D8 for hit points.
Okay, so a bit less durable than a barbarian.
True. Their main ability is charisma. Makes sense, right? They gotta be charming.
Yeah.
They're good at dodging danger and talking their way out of trouble, so they get dexterity and charisma saving throws.
What schools are they good at?
Pretty much everything. Acrobatics, athletics, deception, history, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, stealth. They can also use light armor and a few weapons, like rapiers and short swords.
Wow, a real jack of all trades.
Yeah. And of course, they're spellcasters. They use charisma to cast spells, and they have spell slots, which are like their pool of magical energy.
Right. And what about their famous bardic inspiration?
Ah, yes. That's like their signature move. It's a bonus action to inspire an ally, and it gives them a bardic inspiration die. It starts as a d6, and they can add that to any roll they make for the next 10 minutes.
So it can turn a failure into a success.
Exactly. It's a clutch ability. And at 20th level, they even get 1 use back at the start of combat if they don't have any left.
Oh, nice. So they can always inspire when it matters most. What other cool tricks do they have?
Well, at 2nd level, they get Jack of all trades.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it means they can add half their proficiency bonus to any skill check they're not proficient in, so even more versatile. And they also get Song of Rest, which lets them give extra healing to the party during a short rest.
Oh, that's handy. Like a magical power nap.
Exactly. Then at 3rd level, they choose a Bard College, similar to the Barbarian's Primal Path. The book mentions the College of Lore and the College of Valor.
Okay, what about the College of Lore? What do they specialize in?
Knowledge, basically. They get 3 extra skill proficiencies at 3rd level, and they have this ability called Cutting Words.
Cutting words?
Yeah, they can use their reaction, so that's like an immediate response, and spend a bardic inspiration die to subtract the roll from an enemy's attack, check, or damage roll. It's super disruptive. They also get additional magical secrets at higher levels, which lets them learn spells from any other class.
So they can, like, steal spells from other classes. That's cool.
It is. At 14th level, they also get Peerless skill, so they can add a bardic inspiration die to their own ability checks. Really helps when they need to be extra good at something.
Nice. And the College of Valor, they're more about the fighting side of things?
Yeah, they're more martial. They inspire through heroic songs and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So across both colleges, what other cool features do bards get?
Well, they get expertise at levels 3 and 10, which lets them double their proficiency bonus on 2 skills, makes them real experts. And Font of Inspiration at 5th level lets them get all their bardic inspiration back on a short or long rest.
Oh, that's handy, so they're not as limited.
Right. Then there's Counter Charm at level 6, which protects allies from being frightened or charmed. And they get Magical Secrets at 10th level, letting them learn spells from any class. Finally, Superior Inspiration at level 20 gives them a bardic inspiration back at the start of every fight.
Wow, so they're always ready to inspire their allies no matter what.
Always. They're incredibly adaptable. Okay, now let's move on to the Cleric, a very different kind of magic user.
The Cleric, all about divine power, right?
Exactly. They're a conduit for their god's power, and it's less about studying books and more about deep faith and understanding their god's will.
So they're like divine agents in the world.
Absolutely. They go on adventures, fight evil, protect worshippers. They're also connected to temples and religious organizations.
Right. Makes sense. So what's important when you're creating a cleric?
The biggest thing is choosing their deity.
Okay, it makes sense.
That shapes everything. Their abilities, their place in the world, everything. The relationship with their god can be different too. It could be total obedience or more like a partnership.
Interesting. So mechanically, what are they like?
They use a D8 for hit points, same as the bard. Their main ability is wisdom, which is all about their connection to the divine. They're also good at resisting mental stuff, thanks to those wisdom and charisma saving throws.
So a strong mind and will.
Yeah, they can wear light and medium armor, use shields, and use simple weapons. For skills, they lean towards knowledge and helping others. So history, insight, medicine, persuasion, religion.
Okay, very fitting for a cleric.
Right, and they're primary spellcasters, too. Wisdom is their spellcasting ability, and they need a divine focus, like a holy symbol, to channel their spells.
Right, right. And what about those divine domains?
Ah, yes, that's a big one. At first level, they choose a divine domain, and that shapes their powers in a big way. Like, the book gives the example of the life domain.
Okay, life domain, what's that all about?
Healing, basically. They're all about preserving life, positive energy, gods of healing, life, even agriculture. They grant this domain.
So what kind of goodies do they get?
They get proficiency in heavy armor, so they can be pretty tough. They get Disciple of Life, which makes their healing spells even better. At second level, they get a Channel Divinity option called Preserve Life. They spend some of their divine energy to heal multiple creatures at once.
Healing.
Exactly. Then there's Blessed Healer at 6th level. Whenever they heal someone else, they heal themselves a little bit too. Divine Strike at 8th level adds radiant damage to their weapon attacks.
They can be effective fighters too.
Yeah. And at 17th level, Supreme Healing makes all their healing dice roll their maximum value.
Oh, wow. So they're just pumping out maximum healing.
Yeah, they become incredible healers. And the book mentions other domains too, like knowledge and light. Apollo is a light domain god, for example.
Okay, so there's a lot of variety depending on which god you choose.
Tons. Each domain has a different flavor and a different set of abilities. Apart from that, clerics get channel divinity at 2nd level.
Channel divinity.
It's a pool of divine energy they can use for special powers depending on their domain. They get more uses as they level up. Then there's destroy undead, starting at level 5. They can actually destroy undead creatures, and the type of undead they can affect gets stronger as they level up.
So they're like the bane of undead.
Oh, yeah. And then there's divine intervention at level 10. They can actually call upon their deity for help.
Whoa, like a divine favor.
Exactly. And at level 20, it automatically works.
Wow, so they can always count on their god in a pinch.
Yep. So the cleric is a strong support character. Lots of healing, lots of different divine magic. They can even be decent fighters, depending on their domain. Their connection to their god really defines them.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to another nature-focused class, the Druid.
Ah, the Druid.
Yeah.
They embody nature's, its resilience, its cunning, even its fury.
Very different from the Cleric, then.
Oh, yeah. They revere nature, but it's not always about a specific deity. They might follow animistic beliefs or be connected to the land itself in a mystical way. Their magic is all about nature, commanding the elements, talking to animals, and they can even transform into animals with wild shape.
Wild shape. That sounds cool.
It is. They're all about balance, too, opposing anything that's unnatural or harms the environment.
So they're like protectors of the wild.
Definitely. They often guard sacred natural sites and fight anything that threatens nature's balance. Becoming an adventurer might just be another way for them to protect what they hold dear.
Right, their calling takes them on adventures.
Exactly. Now, for their mechanics, they also use a D8 for hit points. Wisdom is their main ability, governing both their nature magic and their spellcasting. They get intelligence and wisdom saving throws.
Smart and in tune with nature.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. They have some restrictions on their armor and weapons, though. They can use light and medium armor, but only if it's not metal.
Oh, interesting.
Same with shields. They can use them, but only non-metal ones. Weapons are more primal, too. Clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears.
Okay, so more like tools you'd find in nature or craft yourself.
Exactly. Skill-wise, it's a mix of nature stuff and wisdom stuff. Arcana, animal handling, insight, medicine, nature perception, religion, and survival.
So they know a little bit of everything.
They do. They also have this ability called Druidic, which is a secret language only Druids know.
Oh, so they can leave messages for each other.
Exactly, or talk in secret. Now, they are primary spellcasters. They use wisdom and need a Druidic focus, which is usually made from plants or wood.
So their magic is very tied to the natural world.
Oh, yeah. They can also cast spells as rituals, which takes longer but doesn't use up a spell slot.
Okay, smart. And what about wild shape? How does that work?
At 2nd level, they can transform into an animal they've seen before. They can only do it a limited number of times, but they get uses back on a short or long rest.
What kind of animals?
It depends on their level. They start with weaker animals and can transform into more powerful beasts as they level up. There are some limitations on the animal's movement, too, like they can't turn into a flying creature right away.
Makes sense. So what happens when they're in animal form?
They keep their personality and their mental abilities, but their physical stats become those of the animal.
Oh, okay.
They get the animal's hit points, but if they hit 0, they change back, and any extra damage carries over. They can't cast spells while transformed, and some actions are tricky if the animal doesn't have hands or can't talk.
Right. So it's a powerful ability, but with some trade-offs.
Yeah. Exactly. And like other classes, at 2nd level, they choose a druid circle. The book mentions Circle of the Land and Circle of the Moon.
Okay, let's talk Circle of the Land. What's their specialty?
They're deeply connected to a specific type of terrain, like a forest, desert, mountains,
So they're like guardians of that specific environment.
Exactly. They get an extra cantrip right away, which is a simple spell they can cast without using a spell slot.
Handy.
Yeah. They also get natural recovery, which lets them regain some spell slots during a short rest. And they get special circle spells that are always prepared, depending on their chosen land.
Well, that's powerful. Always having those spells ready to go.
It is. So a desert druid would have different spells from a forest druid, and so on.
Makes sense. The Circle of the Moon, that one's all about enhancing wild shape, right?
Yeah, they can transform into stronger creatures more often.
Okay, cool. What else do land druids get?
At 6th level, they get Land's Stride. It lets them easily move through difficult terrain and plants without slowing down or taking damage.
So they're really at home in their chosen environment.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the fighter, the ultimate warrior, right?
Fighter. Classic.
Yeah. They're masters of combat, but the cool thing is, there's so much variety in how they fight. They could be from an army, a militia, a war academy. Some are even self-taught.
Interesting. So lots of different backgrounds.
Tons. And their reasons for fighting are different, too. Duty, thrill-seeking, revenge, you name it.
So creating a fighter, what should you think about?
Think about where they learn to fight. What makes them special? Are they ruthless? Super dedicated to training? Maybe they have a personal vendetta. Think about their gear, too. It's important to them, both for offense and defense.
Yeah, makes sense. So mechanically, how do they work?
They use a D10 for hit points, which is pretty good. Their main ability can be either strength or dexterity, depends on their style. They get strength and constitution saving throws.
Tough and resilient.
Absolutely. They can use any armor, any shield, any weapon. That's their thing. No restrictions.
Okay, nice and simple.
Right. At first level, they choose a fighting style. That gives them a passive bonus, depending on how they fight.
Gotta like what?
Well, there's archery, which gives them a bonus to ranged attacks. Defense, for better armor class when wearing armor. Dueling, for extra damage with a one-handed weapon. Great weapon fighting, for re-rolling low damage rolls with big weapons. Protection, to help their allies by using a shield. And two-weapon fighting, for extra damage with two weapons.
So lots of options to customize their fighting style.
Oh, yeah. They also get second wind at first level, which lets them heal themselves a bit. And at second level, they get action surge.
Action surge, what's that?
They get to take an extra action on their turn. They can do anything they can normally do, like attack again, cast a spell, whatever. It's super powerful, especially in a clutch moment. They even get a second use at level 17.
Wow, so they can really turn the tide of battle.
For sure. At third level, they pick a martial archetype, similar to other classes. It gives them special abilities. The book mentions the Champion, Battle Master, and Eldritch Knight.
Okay, what about the champion?
They're all about raw power and critical hits.
Oh, nice.
They get improved critical, so they crit on a 19 or a 20. At 7th level, they get remarkable athlete, so they're better at physical stuff and can jump farther. At 10th level, they get another fighting style. At 15th level, superior critical makes them crit on an 18, 19, or 20. And at 18th level, Survivor lets them heal themselves if they're below half health.
So they're really hard to kill and hit really hard?
Basically. Now, the Battle Master is more about tactical maneuvers, and the Eldritch Knight mixes in magic with their fighting.
Cool. Apart from their archetype, what else do fighters get?
They get ability score improvements, of course. Extra attack at 5th level, so they can attack twice. Then they get a third attack at 11th level, and even a fourth attack at 20th level. They're attack machines.
Wow, that's a lot of attacks.
Yeah. And starting at level 9, they get Indomitable. They can reroll a failed saving throw.
So they're determined too.
Very much so. They're the reliable damage dealers. They can wear the heaviest armor, and they hold the front line. Simple, but effective.
Okay, let's talk about the monk now. A very different kind of fighter.
The monk, yeah. They combine martial arts with this mystical energy called ki.
Ki. What's that?
It's like this life force energy that flows through all living things. Monks learn to control it and use it to do amazing stuff.
Like what?
They can push their bodies beyond normal limits, do almost magical feats. It's a blend of physical and spiritual discipline.
Interesting. So what's their lifestyle like?
They usually come from monasteries. It's a very structured communal life. They often dedicate themselves to service.
Okay.
So when a monk becomes an adventurer, it's a big deal. It's like a personal test for them. They don't care much for wealth or fame. It's all about personal growth.
Very spiritual. So what should you think about when creating a monk?
Think about their connection to their monastery, why they left, what they're trying to achieve. They're usually lawful because of their disciplined training.
Right, very disciplined. So mechanically, what are they like?
They use a D8 for hit points. Their main abilities are dexterity for agility and combat, and wisdom for their key powers and discipline. They get strength and dexterity saving throws.
So good at avoiding danger and resisting physical stuff.
Yeah, they can use simple weapons and short swords. They also get a bunch of skills: acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, stealth. Plus, they can pick an artisan's tool or a musical instrument.
Okay, so they have a diverse skill set.
They do. At first level, they get unarmored defense, which means their armor class is based on their dexterity and wisdom, as long as they're not wearing armor.
So no bulky armor for them.
Not really, no. They also get martial arts at first level.
Martial arts, what does that do?
It changes how they fight completely. They can use dexterity for their attacks and damage with unarmed strikes and monk weapons.
So their punches and kicks are basically weapons.
Exactly. They also get a damage die for those attacks, starting with a D4 and increasing as they level up. And here's the kicker. They can make an extra unarmed attack as a bonus action after they attack.
So they can attack like a flurry of blows.
Exactly. At second level, they get ki.
Ki, their mystical energy.
Yep. It's a pool of points that they use for special abilities. They regain ki on a short or long rest, but they have to meditate for at least 30 minutes.
Okay, so it's a resource they have to manage.
Right. At second level, they learn to use ki for flurry of blows, which is 2 extra unarmed attacks as a bonus action, patient defense, which makes them harder to hit, and step of the wind, which lets them dash or disengage as a bonus action.
Okay, so they're very mobile and can attack a lot.
Yeah, they're quick and agile. They also get unarmored movement at second level, which increases their speed if they're not wearing armor. At third level, they choose a monastic tradition. It's like a martial arts style.
Interesting.
Yeah, the book mentions the way of the open hand, the way of shadow, and the way of the 4 elements.
What's the open hand all about?
They're masters of unarmed combat and ki manipulation. They can use their flurry of blows to knock enemies down, push them back, or prevent them from reacting.
Oh, wow. So they can control the battlefield.
They can. At 6th level, they get wholeness of body, which lets them heal themselves. Tranquility at 11th level makes them really hard to target. And quivering palm at 17th level lets them potentially kill an enemy with a single touch.
Whoa, that's powerful.
It is. Now, the Way of Shadow is all about stealth and illusion, and the Way of the 4 Elements lets them manipulate the elements with their kai.
Very cool. So many options. What else do monks get as they level up?
Well, apart from their tradition, they get deflect missiles at 3rd level so they can catch arrows and stuff. Slow fall at 4th level so they don't get hurt as badly from falling. Ability score improvements, of course. Extra attack at 5th level. Stunning strike at 5th level, which lets them stun enemies. Ki empowered strikes at 6th level, which makes their unarmed strikes count as magical. Evasion and stillness of mind at 7th level. They get even faster with unarmored movement. Purity of body at 10th level makes them immune to disease and poison. Tongue of the Sun and Moon at 13th level lets them understand any language. Diamond Soul at 14th level makes them good at saving throws. Timeless Body at 15th level. Empty Body at 18th level lets them turn invisible and become resistant to almost all damage. And finally, Perfect Self at 20th level lets them regain ki at the start of combat.
Wow, they get a lot of cool stuff.
Well,